Oh, all right. Yeah. What's going on, world? This your boy at Big Game James underscore 36. And this is Big Games BS brought to you by the Media Group, presented by thehumidor.com. Thehumidor.com is the go-to website for all things tobacco related. Tobacco cutters, cigars, torches, humidors, humidor packs, was it cigarillos? What's it? Beaties. That they now, Cam Newton got accused of that people thought he was smoking weed a few years ago in a club. Just basically all that good stuff. You can go to thehumidor.com, grab it. It's already low priced. And you know what they're gonna do when you go to checkout and you type in sports, then they're gonna give you 50%. Let me rewind that. They're gonna give you 25% off, not 50% off. You get 50% off. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Spend over $150 and they're gonna give you free shipping. You're gonna also get a cutter in the baggies they're gonna put it in, man. It's like those humidor packs last forever, man. So it's like really one of the best things that you could get. Um, Inside of the world's greatest cigar lounge in America. I said that right. The world's greatest cigar lounge in America. Like Goodfellas. Goodfellas is just the go-to place for everything that you want to do. We had yesterday, you missed it. Sunday brunch had not about to say the band be easy, but that's not. It had Dash Pressure came in here, rocked it out. Shannon Cheeseboro had all of his food, sold out of the food. Everybody said he didn't make enough, which is a good thing. It's a good problem to have. People don't want to talk about those things, but I'd rather run out than have too much, because then that means you didn't make enough money or your costs go up. So each weekend we need to make sure we kick that up a notch, and especially with college football coming. Man, you don't want to really deal with it. Your family doesn't like it. Let me tell you about watching football in a house with a bunch of people in it. Stressful, especially when you have I'm just gonna round it up, a 4-year-old that loves to cause a ruckus. He wants me to do shit that daddy can't really do while he's watching football because he got to talk about this shit. Daddy can't draw a fire truck. He's trying to watch his rivals get their asses whooped. It's hard to color and do stuff when you're trying to watch the Jaguars, potentially the third quarter of the Jaguars, and you start getting hope. But that's what this weekend was. This weekend was spiritual, if you will. It was dope. It gave hope. It crushed dreams at the same time. It's what's great about the game of football. One of the things I learned when I was a sports management major, before I realized that I'm just an athlete and a jock like everybody else, and I only went to school to hit people. I didn't go to school to play school. I went to school to play ball. So I went as a sports management major at first, but then they made sports management into a limited access program, meaning I had to have a 275 GPA just to be qualified to get in. And that wasn't happening. Sorry, wasn't getting to 275. So they moved me to basically general studies, which is social science. But the first thing you learn in sports management is that sports is a microcosm of society. Everybody wants hope. Everybody loves to see David crush Goliath. All these different things, and there was nothing more impactful than this weekend in college sports. But before we get into that, I gotta talk Jags, because I know there's the Jaguar fans, or the NFL fan base has very little limited attention spans, and if I don't talk about them quick enough, they're gonna tune me out. So let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. At first, I'm not gonna get into a bunch of this because I did an entire show yesterday, an instant recap of what went down. Tons of under and overreactions that have gone on in the Jaguar space. And a lot of it has to do with the overreactions. A lot of it has to do with the Jaguars have been so bad for so long. There have been so many different people that have been brought in that are supposed to be changing the dynamic of what is going on, that it doesn't happen. But I want you to just put that first, Miles. That first clip you put with Michael Jordan on it, the ESPN clip. The best thing in all of this is Jaguar fans and AFC South fans, everybody who is bashing your coaches, you're upset, you're tired, you're sick of this shit, is that there is still hope. If you scroll down, there's this look, because it is so bad that it is the ultimate parody of what the NFL should be. Because in some way, shape, or form, every team, nobody in the AFC South won. I bet if Vegas had a way for you to bet on that, you could put $1 down and probably win at least 20,000. You know how hard it is for nobody to win when two people play each other? That is craziness. The Jags were able to snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat. Excuse me, snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory, so that they can go and lose and continue to be losers. The Texans and the Colts haven't won a home opener in God knows when. And the Titans lost to the Giants, which is one of the worst teams in the NFL. It's craziness. But the best thing is that essentially reset. Week 1 doesn't even matter to you, Jags fans, because you still have an opportunity. As long as nobody's winning, that means there's nobody at the top of the division. And all you need to go to the playoffs is to be at the top of the division. So there is still hope. No need to talk about draft yet. No need to talk about the draft. But let's talk about the game. The game in which now people are saying Trevor Lawrence is a bust. He's not a bust, guys. He just played like shit. But he did have a good third quarter. And I will say this, it was indicative of a team that has been losers for so long. And the culture, which I hate those words like that, is a culture full of losers. The Jags averaged 4 wins a season over the past decade, including a run that took them to the third round of the playoffs in 2017. But there's still a bunch of losers, and you have to be able to fix that, even if those guys are not there. But there are some highlights. There are some key points going in. That first half saw the Washington Commanders look like they were just straight up slapping the damn Jacksonville Jaguars around. But a closer look at the statistics shows that the game was closer. They had the same amount of plays, basically, same amount of time of possession, damn near the same amount of yards. The Jaguars just weren't converting. When you look at, and this is how I know, before you get on me, Travis Etienne, god damn, bro, you're making it fucking hard on my fantasy football team. Bitch, all I needed you to do was something. If you would have got that touchdown, you would have been well worth the draft pick. James Robinson was averaging the running game in general was averaging 7.1 yards a carry in the first half. And you know what the Jaguars decided to do? That we want to go out and fling that bitch to a bunch of no number one wide receivers. And you know who's been telling you since the beginning of time? The Jags have still not addressed the wide receiver room in an adequate fashion. Me. I don't have time to get on George W. Bush's internet and Franklin Delano Roosevelt's terrestrial radio to tell you shit that's not true. I am not getting paid by the Jaguars. Never have, never will. I don't believe in telling lies. I believe in telling the truth as I see them. Christian Kirk is a good wide receiver. Christian Kirk is not a number 1 wide receiver. Not Mike Jones. What's his name? Marvin Jones Jr. is a good wide receiver. He's not a number 1 wide receiver. Crazy Zay actually had a good game, and Christian Kirk had a good game. These guys put together decent efforts, but none of them were the ones that could individually destroy this. Better offensive play would have had the Washington Commanders drugged. But the flip side of that is the Washington Commanders had better quarterback, because Carson Wentz is why you don't typically draft quarterbacks from FCS schools. It works. Joe Flacco is about the only one in recent history, don't go back to my guy from Alcorn State, Steve McNair. This recent history that's worked, but like typically it doesn't work. If he was a better quarterback, the Commanders are mud stomping the Jaguars. That third quarter never happens, but that first half was a clinic in just making sure you capitalize and you run a team to the ground. The defense couldn't stop us, so couldn't stop a cold. No, they could do absolutely nothing right. The DBs were getting torched, and a lot of that has to do with the mentality that that Doug Peterson brought in to this game. He brought in a loser's mentality as opposed to a Super Bowl mentality. And I don't know if this was just to try to get a good feel of what your team actually was, or if you had a competent game plan. But I'm going to hold off judgment on you because I've seen what you can do. And I'm hoping that the stench of what the Jacksonville Jaguars have been for quite some time is permeating into you, because I think you're a good coach. And I actually think that this team will improve. But as I've said, improvement for the Jags looks like average. And I'm sorry that that's harsh, but that is the stark reality. We have not been average consistently for quite some time. Now, that third quarter was marvelous. That was about as good of a quarter. That is what should give every Jaguar fan hope. You saw the run. You saw them actually use the running game. You saw James Robinson gashing the defense, doing what he does best. He's not a breakout threat, but what he is he's a move the chains type of running back, and you do need that in the NFL. He's a guy that you could give 20 carries to, and he's going to consistently be able to provide positive yardage. Travis Etienne was able to do some things again, change of pace. I think at the end of the game, he was over 10 yards a carry with the few carries that he got. With that, you were able to get a bomb to Christian Kirk, and that's what you want. Trevor Lawrence is that. I get it. Pundits get on here and they tell you that Trevor Lawrence is this. He's going to change the game. He's a generational talent, blah, blah, blah. All that shit might be true. But what he is today is a quarterback that you need to have the running game set up the passing game. That's what he is today. Now, maybe during the season, as he gets more confidence, maybe in 5 years. But as of today, as of right now, you need to be sound in the running game and let him be able to pick apart a defense like that. Because when you were using the running game in the third quarter, you were able to do what you wanted to against that Washington Commanders defense. That was minus a few of their starters. So that's what terrifies me. Now, what gives me hope is we play the Colts and they're ass too. But what terrifies me is when you see teams that have a Chase Young. So imagine having a Chase Young and an Allen with ass tackles. Because Cam Robinson was on the ground. Juwan Taylor had to be replaced. You went. Like, imagine being a staff that said, I don't give a fuck how good Cam Robinson has been playing. You went into the draft saying, I like what Cam Robinson is doing. We're going to roll with this. You went into it. You went after Cam and said, Juwan Taylor's that guy. Let's keep Juwan Taylor. I know you had the DUI guy. You had to get rid of him, but I'm just saying, nobody believes in these guys but you. So hopefully they'll get better because I believe in the coaches. But I also believe, sometimes you make shitty mistakes because you fall in love with guys that just aren't in love with you. Because if they were in love with you, they would act differently. So, by the numbers, third quarter, I have been very super critical of Trayvon Walker. I still don't believe Trayvon Walker should have been the number one overall pick. I do believe Trayvon Walker is a high draft pick, and I do believe Trayvon Walker had a very good game. Trayvon Walker went out there and dominated in the third quarter. Now, if we can get him playing 4 quarters of that, this boy is going to really change the game. Trayvon Walker had a sack and an interception, and then believe led to another interception in consecutive drives. That was amazing. Guys are going on Twitter bashing Josh Allen, saying he didn't do anything when Josh Allen caused the fumble and was one of the top 10 rated disruptive guys on Pro Football Focus, which I hate Pro Football Focus. But if you actually watch the game, Josh Allen did what he was supposed to do. He just didn't get to the quarterback. He didn't get sacks. That's probably what benefited Trayvon Walker, even though Trayvon Walker with that sack fucking destroyed the right tackle. Like, just whooped his ass off the line. Very explosive, very exciting. A guy that actually did good that I didn't realize did good until I went back and watched more and I saw the stat sheet was Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd was all over the place, making tons of tackles. You don't make those you don't produce that much results without having an impact on the game. You know who didn't show up? It's crazy. Actually, I'm going to say this because this makes no sense. But a guy showed up and didn't show up at the same fucking time. And that's Tyson Campbell. Tyson Campbell gets an interception, and has you believing that you can post that up there too. Has you believing that, you know what? It's gonna be great, man. I like this. He's turning the corner. People say that he has no ball skills. But now maybe he's got ball skills and maybe he's gonna start balling, right? Wrong, wrong. Tyson gets that touchdown card on him and gets dunked on. Nothing worse than getting dunked on. Shaq Griffin has talked all this trash this offseason, gotten better. But I remember a GM had this conversation with me and said, what's going to happen when the Jaguars, who are rumored to go into a man coverage type of situation with no man coverage DBs besides Tyson Campbell? And that's when you see yourself in the position that you're in right now. So we have this post. Demetrius Harvey, shout out to him. I really like him on the beat. He makes a post with the percentages. The percentages that the different players have based upon their grades. I'm assuming this is kind of what the coaches put out. This is what they do. You can see Trayvon Walker graded out the highest. Josh Allen right after there. Clayvick, whatever the fuck his name is ass. He played 9 plays too many. Foley, Shakasuka, the D tackle's pretty damn good. 37. You see that. And Devin Lloyd played good. I saw somebody talk about the boy from Wyoming, and they said they liked him, but he didn't play very well. And that's okay. He'll get better. He'll improve. Dwayne Smoot got that penalty that was inopportune at the time. You'll scroll down a little bit, Miles, so we can see the other things. Show the people on this. I thought there was another list. Yeah, Christian Kirk, 91%. Crazy Zay, 83. Marvin Jones, Jamal Ag. I don't really know how those guys didn't get much. Juwan Taylor played, missed 5 snaps out of 70. He said he was cramping. I just think he was getting his ass handed to him. I don't like him. I like him as a person, possibly, but as a tackle, it's just not working here. Do we have any other stuff that we could go check out? The RBs, James Robinson, 51. I don't even know how you guard these guys. How you grade this? Never mind. Forget all of that. That's good. Bottom line is the Jaguars were able to put up 3.5. A quarter and a 1 quarter and a quarter of a quarter of a game, and that's just not how you win. Again, luckily they're playing a team on their level this week at home in the Indianapolis Colts. So there's a chance to be able to get in the W column and be able to get into the lead of the division, which at the end of the day, this is all that matters. The other things are irrelevant. You want to set yourself up in the month of September, in the month of October, to be playing meaningful games in November. Then if you're playing meaningful games in November, that means all you need is 1 or 2 victories in that month. And then you're playing meaningful games in December. And it's just kind of pushing it back. It's like playing golf. You're not going to hit a hole-in-one on a par 5. Nobody has that kind of strength. And if you don't have a good driver, which we do not, you get a decent drive and you play the short games and you just chip away and you want to make sure you at least make par. That's the question. But it was overall a great time in the NFL in general, man. It was you saw crazy weather. We saw, if you watch the Chicago, like if you follow high school football in Duval, I coached at Mandarin High School, and man, it poured down raining right before we played the game. Our field was crap. I expect a Duval County public school high school field to look like shit. What I don't expect is an NFL field to not be able to drain properly. And it looked bad. It probably sucks to play in. But if you win, I would do exactly what Justin Fields did. They won. And that's how I think this is how women should slide in men's DMs for the rest of 2022. The way Justin Fields slid after he did that, the most exciting play in football, which is called victory. And, that's not irrelevant. I don't even know if we have that one up there. But, yeah, go back to the one you just posted. My favorite coach in the NFL. And before you judge me, if you say it's because he's black, probably. But Mike Tomlin's been really, really good. He's the epitome of consistency. And something that he did was really, really cool. And If you don't understand culture or sneaker culture, following this show, you should, because I wear a different pair of high end sneakers damn near every show, and we post a picture a lot. But Air Force Ones have been synonymous with the culture before this song, but definitely ever since Nelly made the song Air Force Ones. Give me two pair. I need two pair so I can get the stomping in my Air Force Ones. One of the cleanest ones that you can get, because at the end of the day, nothing in this world gets some hype on first sight like white on whites. The all white Air Force One is a beauty. It looks so sexy when it's all crisp and clean, but you only get a few wears because it gets dirty. The one that has gotten a bad rap over the last couple years is the Black Air Forces. And it's because groups like MOP, groups like it's synonymous with robbery. If I see it in violence, if I see somebody with some dingy ass Black Air Force Ones, I think that that person means trouble. And what does my guy Mike Tomlin do? Besides the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers are black and yellow, he goes and he buys every player or everybody in the Steelers organization a pair of Black Air Force Ones. But that's not the end of the story. They were actually white Air Force Ones that he bought that he needed to paint black. And what we see is the guy painting them black to make sure that everybody gets what they need to get. Now, here's the scary part in this equation. I don't know if I want to live in America where we're out of Black Air Force Ones. Who the fuck is buying all these Black Air Force Ones? And what is coming up? Is the purge really about to happen? Because that's the only reason you buy that many pairs of Black Air Force Ones, because that means a lot of people are about to get robbed. And that's terrifying. I don't want to get robbed. And I think that's we need to check that. I'm trying to check some other stuff. In the NFL, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played the Dallas Cowboys in one of the worst football games in the world ever watched. There was the 1 o'clock slate was dope. Everything after that wasn't. So that's basically the NFL. What I'm going to get in with that. Now going into college football, I didn't have to watch Florida State. We are 2-0 going into week 3. Excuse me, going into week 2, I guess, for the first time in some time. No, this is week 3. Going into week 3 for the first time in a while. We play Louisville on Friday. A game right now where Florida State is +2 at Louisville. So basically, that's a pick'em game. But what happened was, it was one of the greatest upset weekends in college football history. In particular, right now, as we've talked about all of these issues with college football basically moving into a Pangea. Like, you've got the SEC bringing in teams, the Big Ten bringing in teams, and the ACC possibly folding. Everybody's talking about how the best football is played in the SEC or the Big Ten. Do you know what conference nobody's ever talked about and is just completely disrespected? The Sun Belt. And this is what I mean. Notre Dame, blue blood program, new coach that I don't like because he's light skinned. He's got good hair. He seems to be getting oversexed by his wife because she keeps having kids. And Texas A&M with Jimbo Fisher, and you know the reasons why Florida State guy wouldn't like Jimbo Fisher. And Nebraska, which is again another blue blood program, which I grew up watching, all lost to Sun Belt teams. Georgia Southern, App State, Marshall. App State known for whipping asses of blue blood programs. When they were FCS, they beat Michigan. Marshall, famous for Toby Bullock, my son's godfather, and a great movie called We Are Marshall. Georgia Southern, iconic coach, used to run the wing team not too long ago. Now they're going out here whipping people's ass. FAMU got paid $500,000 to go to North Carolina a few weeks ago. Each one of these teams was paid over $1 million to go into enemy territory and to win. They went in, whipped ass, received the check, left. $4.173 million was paid out to the Sun Belt. That is basically what the Sun Belt probably receives as a total for their bowl berths. And that's the conference split between these three teams. One of which resulted in the firing, one of which probably was two of which resulted in the stove, the irons getting hot on the firing of two other coaches. The Nebraska debacle is so bad because Scott Frost is a Willie Taggart's record in one score games. I think he's won 9 games in all of his 9 out of like 21 or something crazy like that. Bad luck, bad coaching. Should not be in shootouts with Georgia Southern when you have every fucking resource given to you. And what's wild about Scott Frost is Scott Frost got an extension when he has stunk the entire time he's been at Nebraska. But it's always, it just looks better. It just feels better. It just, look at the way he talks. Look at the shit that I hate. It's non-tangible shit that y'all give the prototypical pilgrim. And I'm not hating that you like him. I'm not even hating that it's not an African-American coach, which they have an African-American coach right now who's probably going to get roasted because he's going to get his ass whooped the rest of the year because Scott Frost built the program on glass. He ran a Power 5 program like a G5, and he's wondering why this bullshit is happening to him. But the point in all of this is that no, it's not that black coaches can't fail. They just don't get the opportunities to fail like some of these coaches get. That's the aggravating part. Nobody wants special treatment. They want the exact same fucking treatment. Scott Frost took over for a guy who at least got Nebraska to a bowl game. And they fired him because going to a bowl game was not significant enough. They fired Bo Pelini, who did nothing but win before that. You fired a guy who had success to be with a guy who is below average. That is asinine. That makes no sense in anybody's mind except for people who excuse mediocrity because it looks better. Sorry, straight up bullshit. Same can be said about Texas A&M. I've got friends who coach at Texas A&M. Had a friend who coached at Texas A&M with the last guy. I got this. They every time Jimbo gets into these situations, they have a meme for comparing him to Kevin Sumlin. Kevin Sumlin made almost $4 to $5 million less a year than the Jimbo Fisher, and he's got one more win in the same amount of games. But it looks better. It feels better. He wasn't good enough. We weren't trending in the right direction. You're in the same exact pattern, except for you've given this guy more money, more resources for recruiting, more resources for staff. You've renovated things. You've done everything that this guy has asked you to do. In fact, you went and got him to cheat on Florida State to come to your shit when you haven't won a game since TV was in Technicolor. Excuse me, a national championship since TV was in Technicolor. But you brought him in to win championships. You've got all the money in the world. According to Nicholas Saban, you gave damn near every recruit $1 million. I'm trying. Let me go find these classes, man. The recruiting classes are crazy when you think about it. The first 50 games as Texas A&M head coach, Jimbo Fisher is 35-15. Kevin Sumlin was 36-14. Except for Jimbo's costing you damn near $100 million. Sumlin didn't cost you anywhere near that. I'm not saying Sumlin deserved to get this to retain this job. I'm saying if you're gonna cheat on your bitch, cheat up. Don't cheat on your bitch to go down. I know that's gonna go over some of y'all heads because y'all never been in a situation where you could even cheat. But it doesn't make sense to just go cheat with somebody else. I get it. You thought he was the bad bitch, but he's not getting the results, and you're not even willing to break it off. In fact, you rewarded mediocrity. You gave Jimbo a contract extension in October of last year. Now it costs you more money to buy out of it. What baffles me is the short rope that's given to some coaches, and you extend the rope for other guys, and you double down on your mistakes when you don't even give people the same resources that you've given them. There is no excuse for Jimbo to be losing like this when he has had 4 straight years of top 10 classes. One thing John James Fisher is going to do is recruit. And what should happen is he should luck up into some action. But this man can't even look up into some pussy. When you recruit at the level that he recruits, there is no way you lose to App State. App State, who doesn't even have probably one blue chip player, when you have a roster full of blue chip players. Oh, I got the stat right here. Jimbo Fisher had 56 players rated 4 or 5 stars on his roster. I just want to do the math real quick so people can understand how crazy this is. You only have 85 scholarship players. So 65% of Jimbo's roster is 4 and 5 star athletes. The other ones are probably 3 stars. Let me tell you exactly what App State has that are 4 and 5 star players. 0.01% of App State players are 4 or 5 star athletes. And you want to know who that is? It's actually, I was about to give you the Marshall cat. My bad, because my guy, Kalen Laborn, balled out against Nebraska. But my point is that App State has one former 4 or 5 star player on their roster. This is the App State that could not beat North Carolina. They got in a shootout with North Carolina. At least North Carolina got in a shootout. You couldn't even score, and you were an offensive-minded coach. You can't even use the past coach as an excuse. Every one of these players was individually selected by John James Fisher. You would pick those guys to be put in positions to make your offense successful. But to quote was a great value Colin Cowherd, Josh Pate, you're running a system that worked in 2014 that is no longer relevant today. People have tried to tell fans that Jimbo Fisher was successful because he got a generational talent at quarterback. And people try to say that Jimbo Fisher made the generational talent at quarterback. That generational talent is one of the best guys of wisdom, one of the oldest young men ever created in Jameis Winston. But Jameis Winston is proving every day that he made John James Fisher, not the other way around. I'm sending you this, Miles. I want you to put this on here because I think this will sum up exactly how I feel about this guy coming up, because we'll talk about this game after we talk about the first one. We will Nebraska losing to Georgia Southern resulted in Scott Frost being fired. The loss shook Nebraska faithful to their core so bad that they ate about $8 million in a coach's buyout to just get him out of there. Had they waited to the middle of October, I think the buyout got reduced to like $7 million. But isn't there a greater way than college football to fire people? All right, college football is the only sport where you can, in NFL as well, where you can get rewarded for mediocrity.
I'm
You
a
failed.
young
All right, we're gonna give you
black
all your money,
man.
and that's what we're gonna do. I don't even want to deal with Scott Frost too much longer. He just sucks. Get him out of here. Marcus Freeman, even though I joke about not liking him, I do want him to be successful. I loved his press conference when he took over for Notre Dame. Um, I I just this is the only thing that he could do to possibly try to keep his job. And it's a young man from Jacksonville, and should be this is what I'm gonna start playing anytime somebody gets in trouble. Because if you're black, this is just what you need to play right here. This song right here, you just gotta get on. I think you should take a knee and you should belt this song out to the best of your ability. You got it, Moss? You got it off mute? Oh. Oh no, you're gonna hear it because this song is just a Negro spiritual.
Just I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind every day, I'm being hard to this prey.
That's what Marshall did.
My people don't want no trouble.
We don't want
gotta know.
Them Catholics don't want no trouble. We just don't want no trouble.
I just wanna live. God protect me.
That's what Marcus.
I just wanna
Marcus
live.
has got to go into the AD's office and sing this song with all his might. It's just say, my people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just want to live. God, you lost the Marshall. The most ironic thing is the DFO over there, Sherrod Everett. Shout out to my guy, one of the smartest guys in football. Sherrod Everett is the guy that a lot of you Florida State fans are really picking on when you think you're picking on Tag for when Florida State went up to Notre Dame. And it was snowing, and there was a miscommunication between Notre Dame and FSU. People will say, and Irish will fail, and a lot of you motherfuckers, instead of going and getting shit right, you just went with what you heard, as opposed to what I did. I actually talked to the guy from Notre Dame. They said Tag did not miss a practice. They did not miss a walkthrough. It was snowing. It was a lot of miscommunication. The flight got delayed. Things fucking happened. You're not picking on Tag. You're picking on the DFO, who is incredibly intelligent. But now he's at Marshall. And you know what he did? Went in there and whipped that fucking ass. It's black on black crime because Marshall's head coach is black too. So I'm sorry I had to beat you, Marcus Freeman. I think you're going to be fine. You'll weather this storm. It is what it is. 2022 has been an incredible season, but now I must get to the rivals. And yeah, the University of Florida played the University of Kentucky. And Kentucky is a really well coached team with Mark Stoops. If something were to ever happen at Florida State and we no longer have Mike Norvell, I am on the bring Mark Stoops train. I was not on there, but what he's been able to do at Kentucky has been short of amazing. He has made them into he's literally every year he's been there, he should have beat Florida. It's always come down to some weird, crazy situation where they lose. And somehow they were able to go in and beat Florida at Florida, while Florida's supposed to have the greatest collection of talent ever, even though we all know that not to be true. Now, what I won't do is use my platform to bash kids that I know personally and that I actually like. Anthony Richardson is that guy. He will be fine, Florida fans. You're at fault for the reason why this happened. Your beat writers, fucking Tintin Excel, everybody is at fault for crowning people before they had the opportunity for what you call against Florida State against LSU, a fluke win, for a fluke win against Utah. Utah beat themselves. Anthony has not scored a touchdown this year passing. So you have to recognize the situation for what it truly is. He will be fine, but you went up against a team that knows your talent, a defensive minded coach that forced your star player to do what somebody should do in that position, and that's be a quarterback and read. And when that happened, you saw a lot of overthrows, you saw a lot of batted balls, you saw a lot of situations where he got flustered. And you don't have the wide receivers to really be able to handle that. To quote one of my favorite, you don't have the facilities for that big man. So it's not a flaw on, we got to put that on do not disturb. It's not a flaw on Ant per se, but I will also go as far as to say on your play calling and your situational shit. The things just did not make sense. Your kicking game wasn't as sound as it needed to be. Kentucky came out there and beat ass. And I'll go a step further. They were bragging about, they had Todd McShay come in because there was supposed to be 2 NFL quarterbacks playing. Now, if that's how they're going to judge these 2 guys, neither one of them are playing in the league. I think Ant will get better and prove that he's better, but that Kentucky quarterback is not good. I got news for you, Florida fans. When you got to see Stetson Bennett, and that motherfucker's not an NFL quarterback either, but Stetson Bennett's coming to whip ass and take names. Better get that shit together. But I will say one of the best defensive plays that I saw, got to hit him with the hems with it, is Brenton Cox Jr. What he did to that Kentucky right tackle, throwing his ass into the fucking into the running back, I believe. That was whew, bravo. I love it. Respect it. Gervin Dexter, ball player. Not even gonna lie to you. Corners at Florida, y'all are going to see better receivers. You're going to see a better quarterback. Y'all better stop worrying about Florida fucking State. And the only reason I'm talking about you is because I get paid. I have to always remind my god brother who loves to come at me and say shit, bitch, only one of us in this conversation gets paid to have an opinion. I'm not here to bash you, even though I love to see you lose. My thing is, y'all worried, but somebody put, well, Florida State's over here doing a lot of laughing and keying. We'll see y'all. Bitch, we play y'all after Thanksgiving. You got 5 other teams that are better than that team you just lost to worry about before you get to us. So I'd suggest you worry about what's on your plate first, and then you move on and start worrying about what we got going because we just trying to get the bowl games around here. We're going to take Louisville first because that's going to be a challenge. Each week is a challenge to us until we prove otherwise. Moving on to the University of Miami. They played Southern Miss, the Fighting Brett Favre's. Not much to talk about. It was a struggle in the first half. Miami finally got their footing. Did well. Miami fans did what a lot of fans do. Fucking hit the message boards and was ready to fire their offensive coordinator. The same offensive coordinator that you were praising, then you go and bash his ass. I just don't understand fans. It's a wild situation. A chain of events. I feel bad for any Miami fan who lost their cars. That might have been the Dolphins game. That was a Dolphins game. Got to make sure during tailgate season you turn off your grills, guys. Some people lost their whips because of that. Not learning people don't know what whip terminology means. Like they literally lost their whips. So this last thing, Miles, I know you were looking for it, but look at is it FOS? No, not the FOS. It's the last one under college football. The I am Souza or whatever. Here's where the problem comes in with college football. College football has some extreme bias when it comes to the ranking systems. Things I don't understand. Oregon got drummed. And I agree with this guy stating that they shouldn't be out of the top 25. Definitely shouldn't be ranked top 10, but shouldn't be out of the top 25. Texas loses to the number 2 team in the nation in a tough game. Texas jumps into the top 25. I think they're ranked 21. Florida beats the number 7 team in the nation. They jumped from not ranked to number 12. They lose, and now they're still ranked in the top 25. But they lost to, I believe Kentucky was unranked at the time. App State beats a top ranked team. I don't believe they're ranked. Marshall beats a top ranked team. I don't believe they're ranked. It doesn't make sense because it's not consistent. I don't like early rankings it to begin with, but how can you not deny the bias when you'll drop a Power 5 team out, albeit they got drummed out of ranking altogether for losing to a team, another Power 5 team, but a Power 5 team doesn't lose their ranking or drop down for losing to a G5 team where they have better facilities, better players, better travel accommodations, better food, better bitches. Their car ain't bigger than mine. It's a whole bunch of other different things. Better ingredients, better pizza, better toppings. Everything is better at a P5 than a G5. But you'll keep the SEC teams ranked. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call bias. It's by definition. That needs to change in order for us to continue to have the purity of the sport respected, or just don't vote. Moving on to just overall petty shit. And we'll just call this a big hate o'clock. Brought to you by Green Acre Sporting Goods. Green Acre Sporting Goods is the go-to website for all things outdoor. Green Acre Sporting Goods, like get your guns, get bows and arrows, get your Glocks, you get your fishing equipment, get coolers, get whatever it is that you possibly want. You can get it from them. Z and them will take care of you. Make sure you go say Big Game sent you. They'll give you a black pen to sign with as opposed to a blue one. Got to go over there and do some more stuff. Oh, where do we start with the petty? Okay, something that wasn't covered enough from us, and I truly don't give a shit. Be honest with you, like I wouldn't be here in America probably if it wasn't for this family and colonialism. But I don't understand how people are so distraught or up in arms about the Queen. I don't really give a fuck about Britain. I got some cool friends from across the pond, but it ain't my cup of tea, and I like tea. But like a lot of things are weird. I celebrate the 4th of July because I like to celebrate it. I think it's the most petty shit that any country does. Every year we celebrate divorcing Britain and whipping their ass. It's like if Tina Turner celebrated the day she finally fought back to Ike every year. It's what we did to Britain. Now, granted, the history of it talks about it a little bit better if you actually learn the true history of the taxes and why the people fought. Poor people have been fighting for rich people since the beginning of time. And that's what this happened, but that's not what this is about. One thing I won't do is celebrate a queen. I don't give a shit about the queen. I'm sad that she's died. Somebody posted, y'all shouldn't talk about her. That's somebody's mother, brother, sister, and some other shit. And I'm like, not really. Because all them people dead too by now. So, I mean, she lived a long life, man. She lived to be 96 years old. I wonder how many people's lives had to be given. How many little kids probably kidneys were taken to keep that motherfucker alive. But before I get into that, because I don't want to get canceled over fucking Queen. I saw this thing as the pageant status. If you want to go to it, Miles, it's just hilarious. Like this is terrible. This motherfucker about to die of gout or something. The new king, Prince Charles, I guess, or King Charles would be what his name is. Looks like he's got sausages for fingers, man. Like, I don't know how you let yourself go like this. That's got to be a medical condition. Oh, yeah. If he doesn't have diabetes, I'm going to be so upset because I don't look anything like that. My hands don't look anything like that. And I can't eat sugar without almost dying. It bothers me. But the tweet is just classic because I love King Arthur, even though it's a fictional thing, but I think this should be true. Whoever can pull that ring off his finger will become the next king, like Arthur had to pull the sword out the stone. That bitch stuck on there, man. Like, that is just, oh. You ever seen like a pack of hot dog, like the red hot dogs? Like the poor people hot dogs? That's what that looks like, man. Like, and on top of this, to top it off, women say side chick. Women talk about side chicks so bad, right? Here is a case where being a loyal side chick pays off. Because this is Diana's ex, well, unfortunately, we'll talk about Diana here in a second. But Diana's husband, well, he married the side bitch. The side bitch is now the queen of England. A lot of you women are too proud to be side bitches. What are you the queen of? I want 100% of him or none. I'd rather have 100. You got 100% of zero or 100% of a loser. This bitch had a fraction of a prince of an entire country, and now she's the queen of England. That's wild, ain't it? Bravo for a good side chick winning. But speaking of side, speaking of the main, knowing what the situation is and getting back, this is how you get the man back right here. A guy who too many macho, masculine men berate. And I don't believe those little kids. I hate pedophiles, but I don't believe those little bastards. One, to quote Dave Chappelle, why the fuck you want to go see, you're a Make-A-Wish kid, why the fuck you want to see Michael Jackson? You wasn't even alive when Thriller was made. But you want to go see Mike? Mike Jackson and Prince are two of the most androgynous men ever created that had the most bitches. If you go and you look at their body count, like who they've run through,
she called me
Diana Rosses of the world, the Madonnas, but nothing's bigger than this. And I'm not a guy. I'm not a milk chaser. Have nothing wrong with it. Know a lot of guys who do it, man. There's nothing wrong with it. Love who you love, man. It's just not my thing, man. But here is, side chick Iguma. Yeah, that's that. I learned that from The Sopranos, Rich. Michael Jackson might be the baddest man in the game. Michael Jackson is, matter of fact, just play the story. This tells the whole story, I believe. Just make sure that sound is on. Because this is a good story. Love a good MJ story.
She called me away from the line. And I saw Prince Charles looking at me. And I said, oh boy. She said, I want to talk to you. So I said, yeah, what's happening? She said, are you going to do Dirty Diana tonight? I said, no, I took it out of the show, out of respect for you. She said, that's my favorite song. I said, are you serious? I said, I took it out of respect because Dirty Diana, you're in the audience. So at that point, I couldn't put it back in the show because it was too close to showtime. So I remember Prince Charles leaving the line, walking over to us, and he said, what are you talking about? And she said, oh, nothing, like that. So that was that story. There's a couple other ones, but I don't want to, say too much.
Love that, man. Love the confidence. Love the laugh. That laugh was of a guy who got some. He know why Diana's dirty. See, a lot of times people, like, women say things like, I'm going to cheat back, right? Then you go cheat with the first guy that you can go get. It's not really hurting. It's not hurting a man's confidence. Not a real man. It's actually disrespectful to yourself. Like, okay, I cheated and you went and got Sam from the supermarket. He can't even change your life. But you know how you get the Prince of England? You cheat with the largest pop star in the world, probably of all time. One that nobody would expect. And it's just y'all secret. And Mike's so cold, man. Just even when he told the story, I was gonna play Dirty Diana, and I took, oh my God, you didn't do this, no. And she's like, I like Dirty Diana. I'm like, man, might clap them cheeks to smithereens with the monkey watching. All kinds of stuff, man. But going back again, petty. But even more into petty, the coldest thing has nothing to do with the queen and them, done with them. One of the things that I hate on social media is black men this, black women that. Black women always went up in black men always went up in black women. It's always done in the most disrespectful manner. I can't say that I'm not sometimes on both sides of this coin. I don't really know how to my mother is blessed with the gift of blessing someone out. But one of the greatest flexes and some of the best wordplay I've ever seen in a roast, possibly one of the most politest roasts. And this guy's a much better person than me because the way he ended the video was crazy. But we got this great African American man whose story is dope because when I went back and I followed his TikTok and some of the things, he talked about how 5 years ago he was in a much different place. Now he's a multimillionaire. He has numerous things that he has vested in his
paying
stuff.
themselves that much.
And
and
I
taking on
see
that
this
big of
on
a
a
tax
day-to-day
liability.
basis
More than
where people try to explain, as I say it, you're trying to understand 6 and 7 figure problems on a 5-figure mindset. And there's no disparity. People work hard for their money. You can be poor and rich and rich at the same time. That does not make you wealthy. But this was one of the greatest comebacks. And I think if we had more open dialogue and conversations like this, you would see people actually grow. And we could probably weed out some of these people who just feel the need. Because I hate when people are loud and wrong and also feel the need to just have an opinion for no reason. But play this. The entire thing is just amazing.
I only pay myself about $500,000 a year.
That's cap. And nobody who's a serious entrepreneur or business person is paying themselves that much and taking on that big of a tax liability. More than likely, he's an influencer and he has a course, a service, or.
So what makes this wild is the degree of confidence in which she tries to break down somebody that she has no idea of, does not know personally, and tries to discredit a guy for no reason, just because it's a Monday. Now, what I want us to do is pay attention to how you clap back the right way. And this is what my guy does.
A product that he wants to sell you on based on you aspiring to attain.
Okay. Usually I would never respond to this, but it seems like between the pandemic and TikTok, there's made a lot of tax professionals without the qualifications. But hear me out. I'm not going to sit online and debate how much money I make with strangers. That's between myself, my wife, and the IRS.
If you notice, he's walking. That's his estate that he's walking on.
Thinking that you're going to paying yourself less money to avoid taxes is poor people mentality. Taxes are just the way of life. There's really not much you can do about it, but there are some things. I'm going to tell you a few. If you plan on building a house on 20 acres that costs over $1 million and you tell the IRS you only make $80,000 to $125,000, you're going to jail. Also, if you're an entrepreneur, there's several ways you can pay yourself. By W-2, which everyone should because you want to show some type of income. And another way is by distributions in your company. Now, in order to take full tax advantage of some of the great products out here in America, you need to be able to earn a certain amount of money. So if you're doing a W-2 way, you need to make a certain amount of money so that your employer can make the maximum contributions to your retirement account, right? Because it's based on a percentage of how much money you make. And then you also can make the maximum contributions to your retirement account. And I think this year is somewhere between $53,000, $54,000. Portion of it comes from your employer. Other portion comes from yourself. Another product that you can take advantage of is a bunch of tax-free insurance products. Here's what I mean by that. Some of these products require a lot of money up front. So if you're only making $80,000 to $120,000 a year, it ain't gonna cut it. Some of these policies require 6-figure premiums in the beginning for the first few years. You'll figure it out when you get to that tax bracket. But there are products out there. So beyond that, be smart. Don't try to avoid taxes by listening to TikTokers.
Oh, Yeah, he ends up hitting it. Dang, I should have got you the whole TikTok version of it. But like he goes on to talk about, I noticed that you're in a you have a nonprofit and your nonprofit does this and you need video, you want to raise money for video equipment. I have 2 studios. Then he goes into a studio that's immaculate. He says, I offer you free use of this. I also looked at your nonprofit and he donates like $1,000 to the nonprofit. It's one of the most brilliant flexes and burns ever. Now she benefits from it, but she also learns. And one of the things that I love learning from is people who have aspired and have done things. And you listen to the way they came up. And what he does is he gives you some logical tax advice that I didn't even know. I hope to be able to be in that tax bracket. Shit. I don't know. I put his name in there on the TikTok for a reason, Rich. I'll probably inbox you, but I actually, because of that video, I went and followed him, and then he talked about negatively responding to people and why you shouldn't do these things and why it's important to talk to each other on a human level. And I think I admire that. Now, what I don't admire is people who take my catchphrase too seriously. There are 2 people on this planet that I genuinely love. Like I will lose probably more, but I just know without a shadow of doubt, I live for these 2 individuals. I can't. It brings even when they annoy me, it brings a smile on my face to see them and to see them explore life, to learn. This is my hater club. To learn about life, to experience life, and I would physically harm you if you try to harm my sons. Now, there are things that are in the nature of sport. Like if I'll tell you this much, if your kid comes to my house and tries to do harm to any of my sons, I don't care what age they are. We are whipping his or her ass as a family. Everybody would be required to get in on that ass whipping. And if you would like to come over and experience same ass whooping, great. But one of my fears in that my son is now playing tackle football. Shout out to 36. If you ain't seen the pictures, baby, whoo, I was pumped as a dad. He got his first tackle this weekend. It wasn't great, but it was a tackle. It's progress. I'm not that dad that says my son has to fucking play every play. I'm not that type of dad. But one of my fears was I was the guy who put a lot of children in concussion protocol. And one of my fears was, will my son ever meet somebody like me this year? Hopefully he won't, and we'll make him a badass, and he'll be the one doling out the concussion protocol. But something that I would never do is if my son is playing in the game fair and he gets hit, I would never do what this mother did. This is inexcusable. It is childish. And I don't believe in putting hands on women, except if you try to do harm to my child. These hands is all about equality. I am fighting for your rights. You will literally learn. That would be a 2-in-1 ass whooping. Your first and the last time you ever try somebody else's child. But go ahead and play this mother. And this is my first time even hearing possibly some of her damn rationale, because women in accountability are like children in vegetables for whatever reason. They don't like them.
Over a Little League football game, the child running away with his hands in the air.
This is ridiculous. Like, how could you get that angry at a kid's game? Your son plays football. They tackle each other. That's just the name of the game. How can you get that upset to chase him, and not only chase him, but curse him while you're chasing him?
It was the first game of the season for the Southside Ravens. They were up against the Northwest Gorillas. The game was cut short after just a few minutes of starting.
Yeah, he was okay. I picked him up and everything, and he was actually trying to shake my hand after the play, until I guess his mom started chasing me.
An incident report by the Youth Football and Cheerleading League uncovers the parent in question was found in violation of multiple code of conduct policies. The YFF calling the woman a substantial threat to the environment.
Hey, if you cannot control your emotions that much that you get that upset, then you don't need to be around kids. But no, nobody has said anything to me.
She has since been banned from all events and activities permanently, and so have the rest of her family and children.
I hate that her son has to suffer. I hate that that team has to suffer because we don't hate them. We do this for fun.
The woman will need to pay a $200 fine, and so will her son's former team, the Northwest Gorillas, for $500 for not controlling the sideline.
I think it's just a learning lesson.
Nah, it's not enough. Not enough. That woman is entirely too calm. If an adult comes at my kid, I don't give a damn. Man, woman, constant in community, midgets, no matter what you are, I'm whooping that ass, man. You're not finna just roll up with my kid because you're mad that your kid got their ass whooped in the game.
To be fair, that other kid was the size of a small man.
Yes. That was a big kid. When I saw the kid with the glasses on, I'm like, yes, sir. But here's my dilemma with it. That was me. I was now the difference is, and this is why I would fight. I didn't learn to be a dad for my dad. Thank God to the world. You don't want that James Coleman. But I have learned from watching other dads. I also watch my kids. I love my two boys. I love their personalities. They're great. They're aspects of me. I know what my oldest son is like. He's got a lot of me in him. He's also got a lot of his mom in him. Killer's got a lot of the other side of me in him. Trey is the smoothest motherfucker that I know. Suave, everything that I portray to the world, James Anthony Coleman III is. He's not a fighter, though. He will fight you, but it's going to be the last thing. So what I learned from one of the greatest fathers in American history that nobody wants to give his props. He got 3 sons in the NBA. 2 of them were top 5 picks, and that's LeVar Ball. I have learned that sometimes in order for your kids to be the best who they are, you have to take on the persona that they're not willing to do. LeVar Ball was the asshole for his kids to flourish because his kids don't have asshole in them.
That's a new take. I like that.
So I will be the asshole for my son. See, James Coleman II, you come up on that field. James Coleman II at 12-year-old was fighting grown men in his neighborhood because he was 6 foot. He was 6 foot, 145, 155 at 12. Balling on cats, dunking on children in pickup basketball games. Had no problem scrapping. That was probably my problem. That's probably going to be Killer. Killer probably ain't got no problem fighting you. Trey going to try to figure out why do we need to fight? Can we come up with something first? And then he'll fight you when the battle lines are drawn and he ain't got nowhere else to go. But he don't want to do that. My point in all of this is accountability needs to be happening. You're accountable for your children. You're accountable for your own actions. Stop signing your kids up. And probably this is the real thing to happen. And this is what I don't like about youth sports. I don't like this about any sports, but youth sports. Matter of fact, Miles, if you go to my IG, there's a picture of me with the headsets on that I want to post. Because I made this post, and I don't think people quite understand why I made this post. Because I don't want people to get the wrong impression about it. But people are forcing their kids to do something that their kids don't really want to do. It's right there with the all white. And what do you mean by that, James? I mean that your kid wants to play Dragon Ball Z. He wants to play with Pokemon. He wants to play with all this other shit. Yet you're forcing your failed athletic dreams onto your child. And your child just isn't that good. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean they shouldn't be playing sports. But what I am suggesting is that maybe, just maybe, you should temper your expectations because you don't have the next Lawrence Taylor. I don't think people understand exactly how hard it is to go to the next level. 2% of all high school football players, 2% of all athletes go on to play collegiate athletics. And 1% of that 2% go on to play pro. You have a better chance of winning the mega billions than you do of producing a child to go on to play pro football. But yet and still, everybody wants to go out and blame coaches. My stipend for Duval County schools that I won't get until the second week of fucking December is $1,200 funky ass dollars. That goes to May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 7 months. That's not including if I can't do January, February, March, so I'm doing lacrosse. To put it in perspective, for lacrosse at Bowles High School, I get paid 4 times that to do literally less work, like a fraction of the work that I do with football. I actually have to be at practice. I have to be at the games. I don't get to take business trips. You know how many things I can do for $1,200? I can make that every month doing something else. Instead, I got 7 months to get that, to be with your kid that you don't even want to be with. It's worse for Pop Warner coaches because they don't get paid anything. I don't understand how they do it, but they're doing it for the love like Ray J. I posted this post because parents are the ones who are ruining this game. It's pure. It's the last time your child's going to really have fun playing, man. And I'm telling you as a guy who's played on every level. And I love coaching. That's why I do it. I'm like, it kills my weekend work plans, but I love Friday Night Lights. It's still kind of pure, even though the parents want bragging rights, it's starting to kill it. 2% of all athletes get a chance to play at this next level. That level is a job. You can gain friends, but it is a job. It is nothing like high school. Then 1% of the 2% gets an opportunity to play pro. I talked about my mama. My mama didn't know I was good at football. That was such a blessing because I didn't have to play to try to get my mama a house. I did that. I put that pressure on myself. I go around. I have seen my son do crazy and incredible things, but I do not have pro expectations on my son. I have one expectation: for him to go out there and do his best. Oh, yes. And give me a grandson. That's only Trey. Kai has, if Kai plays sports or whatever, basically whatever I put them in, it's their job to be 100% or give 100% every time. If they're not good enough, I'll square it up with the coach. We'll figure out how to adjust. If I don't like the coach, I'm not going to be there in the coach's pocket or in his ear every time. And I damn sure ain't storming the field to whoop another kid's ass for beating my son's ass. I'm going to tell my son the same what Carmen Coleman used to tell me every fucking day. And she's still telling me this. The same capacity you have to give an ass whooping, you better be able to take one because you're not going to always be the winner. At some point, you're going to be put on your back and you're going to have to learn how to pick yourself up and how to get through it so that you can go back to winning. Sports is a microcosm of society. It teaches us so much more than just wins or losses. It teaches us how to be gracious in victory and humble in victory and gracious in defeat. You got to go up there. You got to be able to give your best. You got to be determined. And it doesn't matter. Especially at this young age. The coolest thing about it is there's some times where you're just going to be outmanned. Happens in adult life all the time. There are some people who just have more money than you. They have better resources. They have better opportunities than you have. They're just outright better than you. But that doesn't mean you get to give up. That doesn't mean you get to go do something to try to do something illegal to try to change the fate. You got to sit there. You got to figure it out, reconvene, and do what's best for you. The problem is too many of y'all have the mentality of what this mother had. And instead of teaching your kid how to be the best person they can be, you teach cop-outs. This was a cop-out. Your kid ain't getting good grades in school. Oh, it's the teacher's fault. I'm going to go beat the teacher's ass for my son being an idiot. And you're not going over there and studying with your kid. The school's trying to make your kid gay. The school's trying to do this. The school's trying to do that. The coaches don't like my son. It's never, maybe I didn't put my son in the best position. I used to deal with it in the gym industry all the time. People didn't want to come to me until their senior year and they want me to create miracles to get your son a Division I scholarship. Meanwhile, the talent, the people who were on my walls have been training since they were 11 and 12 years old. Why did that parent figure out that their kid needed help before you did? Because at the end of the day, the success is not about the kid. The success is about the bragging right of the parent so that you don't feel like you're a fool in the stands because you don't have anything to stand on. I believe my son will be a really good football player, good athlete, whatever he chooses to do. But that don't define me as a parent or as a dad. I actually don't want my son to have to go through the same shit I went through. I don't know if I'm going to know my name when I'm 50 years old. I see what the fuck happens with Herschel Walker. I'm fucking terrified. Why do you think I work so hard now? I work so hard so I can stack money so that I can be able to take care of myself because I don't think these two little bastards love me the same way I love them. I know they love their mama. So if something happens to their mama, I know their mama taking care of it. But daddy, not 100% sure. So daddy has to make all the money while he can still has all his faculties right now. Because if what's going on with Herschel and some of these other football players is indicative of what the end is going to be, the same CTE I doled out, I know got given to me a little bit. Because I'm starting to forget shit. I ain't Herschel yet, but it's coming close. But anyways, man, great Monday show. College football's here. NFL is here. So many storylines, so much stuff to go on. Probably more content. We got an interview with Jeff Colhane, the new voice of Seminole. Basically, I call him New Gene. He's a great interview. Learn a little bit about him. That should be posted hopefully tomorrow or Thursday. On our off day, we're gonna start doing some interviews. I'm gonna bring back a reinvented Dope Boys. Because it'll never be the same without Geno Hayes. RIP to the legend. Again, much love to his family. But tons of content, tons of things going on. Anything that you guys would like to see outside of Denny Thompson, because I can't control if Denny comes in or not. Love my dog Denny, man. I miss you, Denny. But we'll get you guys going. We'll get it going on that, guys. We love the ideas, want behind the scenes stuff, want more things going on. Hopefully start doing some stuff. There's a kid here in Jacksonville that's extremely special. His name is Pup. He's a linebacker from Andrew Jackson High School. We're going to go get some behind-the-scenes content with him. Appreciate you guys for chopping it up with me. Sorry it went a little bit long. Just a great, exciting weekend of sports, and we'll see you guys later.